Hey everyone, we are back and ready to go for example number 2, solving equations that contain fractions. Here we go. We have this lovely equation, 7x divided by 9 plus x over 2 minus 17 over 9 equals 2/3. All right, so what we're going to practice with this example is solving it 2 ways. Okay? So the first way we're going to solve this is to keep the fractions. In order to keep the fractions, what we need to get is a common denominator. Common denominator. Okay, so with this equation, what would that common denominator be? If we have 9, 2, and 3, if we count by 9s, we count by 2s, we count by 3s, what's going to be the first number that they all can go to? Well, I know 3 goes in, 3, 6, 9, so really it's just about 2 and 9. And I would say it would need to be 18. So the common denominator needs to be 18. We need to make all these 18. So I'm just going to start right away. Let's go ahead and we are going to, well, I'll just rewrite it problem real quick. 7x divided by 9 plus x over 2 minus 17 over 9 equals 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to make all these into 18. So I got to multiply that by 2. I got to multiply this by 9. Got to multiply this by 2. And this one, 3 times 6 is 18. So I got to multiply. Okay, so I end up with 2 times 7x, which is 14x divided by 18 plus 9x over 18 minus 17 times 2. What's that? 34? Yeah, 34 over 18 equals 2 times 6 is 12 over 18. Okay. Now I have my equation. What I see is that I have a 14x over 18 right here, and I have a 9x over 18 there. And so I can combine those, and then what else do I have? I have this constant right here. So I want to simplify this left side of the equation. So I'm going to combine these x's. Since I'm adding fractions and they already have a common denominator of 18, I can just add the stuff on top. So 14x plus 9x would be, what would that be? 23x over 18. And this constant I'm just going to leave just like that. It's a happy little constant. But it is the third wheel, and we're trying to isolate x, so we need to get rid of it. So we need to do the inverse operation of subtraction, which would be addition. So we're going to add 34 over 18 to both sides of the equation. Since I'm adding, and I have a common denominator of 18 already, I just need to go 12 plus 34, which would be 6 and 4, 46. 46 over 18. And then this canceled. I'm left with 23x over 18. And I need to get x by itself, so when I have a fraction multiplied by x, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which would be 18 over 23. And this is what I love it. I love it. If you ever watch the A-Team, which I'm sure that none of you ever have, but maybe, they'd always say at the end, I love it when a plan comes together. And that's what I feel about this, because what happens is all this stuff cancels, and that's all 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's x, right, that. And then the 18s, they cancel. So we always look to cross-cancel when we're multiplying fractions. And then look at this, 46 and 23. There's a common factor, it's 23. 23 goes into 23 one time, and 23 goes into 46 2 times. And then it's 2 times 1 and 1 times 1, which is just 2. So all of that mess, and then you just end up with 2, and that's what I feel like. I love it when a plan comes together. It's like all this mess, and then it just becomes really, really simple. Nice, pretty answer. Okay, so that's the first way. Keep the fractions, get a common denominator with everything, and then just solve. let's go ahead and do it the second way. Here, we'll change the color. We need a little purple in our life, I think. 7x divided by 9. Oh, man. Plus 2x over 2 minus 17 divided by 9 equals 2/3. Did I write it all right? Perfect. I did. Okay, so for this way, we are going to, the second way is get rid of the fractions. We're going to get rid of them. And how we're going to do that is we're going to, that's the first thing, get rid of the fractions. The second thing is we're going to do it by multiplying by whatever that common denominator would be. Denominator. Okay, so we already figured out what the common denominator was over here was 18. So we are going to multiply this whole entire equation by 18. And so the whole thing, everything. And then it's like the 18's the candy, and we got to distribute this candy to each thing. And we have 4 kids, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. So 18, I'm going to multiply 18 times this, 7x over 9, plus 18 times this, x over 2, minus 18 times 17 over 9 equals 18 times 2/3. So that 18 just got distributed here, 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 and here, everywhere. Everybody's happy. Everybody has their 18 pieces of candy. Yeah. Okay, so now we just have to do this little fraction multiplication right here. So look to cross cancel. I can cancel. 9 goes into both of these. 9 goes into 9 once. 9 goes into 18 2 times. And nothing there, so we just multiply across. 2 times 7x is 14x plus... Okay, what happens here? Okay, there's a comment where you have to multiply this fraction. Look to cross cancel. There's a 2 in 18. 2 goes into 18. Common factor of 2. That's what I meant to say. 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 18 9 times. Multiply across. We get 9x. And then over here, multiply this. Look to cross cancel. 9 is the common factor. 9 goes into 9 one time. 9 goes into 18 2 times. Then multiply across, that would be a negative 2 times 17, which would be a negative 34, equals, and then we have to multiply these fractions, look to cross cancel, common factor of 3, 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 18 6 times, 6 times 2 would be 12. Now, here we go. This is two sides of the equation. We have to look to simplify. So what I see is there's a 14x here and there's a 9x there, and then there is another lovely, lonely constant of 34. Okay, so we are going to combine like terms here. 14x plus 9x is 23x, and then there's nothing to combine there, so we just drop down that constant. And then that constant is the third wheel, so we're trying to solve for x and isolate it. We need to do the inverse operation, which would be the wonderful addition property of equality. And we end up with 46. Those cancel. 23x. And then we need to get x by itself. We need to get rid of this 23. It's related through multiplication, so we're going to do division to both sides. The division property of equality. Those cancel out and become 1. We have x equals 46 divided by 23, and 23 goes into 46 2 times, so x equals 2. We got the same answer. Now, we have to do the third and final thing, which is check this answer by hand. Yes, so exciting. I'm going to change up my pen color because it is just that exciting. We're doing it with blue. Check. Write the original equation, 7x divided by 9 plus x over 2 minus 17 over 9 equals 2/3. And we're going to leave that equation as is and go ahead and substitute 2 in for x. So here we go. We got 7, there's an x, we're going to put 2 all over 9. Plus there's another x, we're going to put 2 divided by 2 minus 17 over 9 equals 2/3. Does it equal? I don't know. Okay, so let's do this little bit right here. 7 times 2 is 14 over 9 plus 2 over 2, which is 1. I could have wrote that, but whatever. That's okay. Minus 17 over 9 equals 2/3. I don't know. Well, we will see. This is nice because there's a common denominator of 9. So I can just combine, simplify that and go 14 minus 17 would be a negative 3/9. And then 2 divided by 2 is just 1 plus 1 equals 2/3. All right. Okay, plus 1. Let's go ahead and get a common denominator. This is 1 over 1, which would make it, we'd want the common denominator to be 9, so multiply both by 9. And we get negative 3 over 9 plus 9 over 9 equals 2/3. I don't know. We're still figuring this out. Common denominator, check. Let's go negative 3 plus 9 would be a positive 6 over 9. And then we just need to simplify this. Is there any common factors between 6 and 9? I would say yes, it is 3. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So we have 2/3 equaling 2/3, which means this is a true statement, which means x equals 2 is the solution to this big old equation right all the way over there. Okay, and that was a lot. Okay, so remember, the first way to do this, we're solving these 2 ways. You have to keep the fractions and get a common denominator. Okay, so you're going to get a common denominator, work that all out. The second way is to get rid of all the fractions. So to do that, you multiply each little term of this equation by whatever that common denominator would be. In this case, it was 18. The last final thing is to check. So at this time, it is now your turn to try. Check it out, example 2A, and check it out, example 2B. Yes, and you are going to solve them both ways. It's going to be amazing, and then you're going to check your answers by hand. So at this time, go ahead and pause and go ahead and get started working super, super hard. And when you get done, unpause it and see if you got the right answer. You can do it. All right, we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, here we go. We are going to go ahead and solve this equation. So let's do it the first way. Remember, the first way is to keep the fractions. What is super nice about this problem is that they already all have a common denominator, which is amazing. So we don't have to do anything, but just solve. We're solving for n. So we are just going to go ahead and get rid of this third party. We're going to subtract both sides by 5 over 4. That's going to cancel, and what we're left with is, okay, they both have a common denominator of 4, which is great, and we have negative 1 minus 6. Since there's 2 negative numbers, we just add them and keep the negative sign. So negative 1 minus 5 is going to be a negative 6 over 4. Negative 6 over 4. And then this 3n divided by 4 drops down. Okay, we're trying to figure out what n is, and there's a fraction multiplied by n, so we are going to multiply by the wonderful reciprocal of 4/3 to both sides. And all this stuff cancels out, and we're left with n. And then what happens here? Oh yes, the 4s, they cancel each other out. And then what's common between 6 and 3? I would say 3. 3 goes in there 1 time, and 3 goes into 6 2 times. And then we just multiply across, which ends up being negative 2. All right, so n equals negative 2. Okay, now we are going to solve this the second way. Ooh, I need a different pen color. Purple is for the second way. Okay, I'm going to write this original equation over again. Equals negative 1/4. And then we are going to multiply this entire equation by whatever the common denominator would be, and it is 4. So we're going to go 4 times this, and 4 times this, and 4 times this. We're not going to leave anybody out. Everybody gets 4. little bit more 4 in their life. So 4 times